Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of NEC On the Run, talking men's basketball with the NEC's Ron Ratner. Ron, we're past the halfway point. Let's take a look at the weekend takeaways.
Well, Kyle, with 6 games left on the conference schedule, it's Wagner that's put itself in a great spot to claim the NEC regular season title and the #1 seed in the conference tournament. Wagner not only became the first team to clinch a tournament berth last week, they also lengthened their lead in the standings to 2 games, and they hold a host of tiebreakers over a number of the teams that sit directly below them in the standings. Seahawks have won 6 straight, and looking ahead, the combined conference winning percentage of their next 6 opponents, it's just .403. So it's a very manageable schedule as they look to finish #1. And good luck beating them at the Spuro Center, where they are 12-0 on the year and have won their NEC games by over 12 points per game. JoJo Cooper, he's certainly been the straw that stirs the drink for the green and white this year. Last week he averaged 14 points and 10 assists, and he continues to lead the league and rank nationally in assists by a wide margin. Seahawks do play 4 of their last 6 on the road, and everybody should circle February 24th on the calendar. That, the final day of the regular season, is when the Seahawks visit second place Mount St. Mary's, another team that's been unbeatable at home this year. Who knows, maybe that one decides who enters the postseason as the top seed. My next takeaway, Joelle Hernandez from LIU Brooklyn is peaking at the right time for the Blackbirds. He was on our Star Watch last week and then played like one over the weekend. He averaged 31 points a game last week. Not only did he win NEC Player of the Week honors, he also won the Lou Henson National Player of the Week award, which goes to the top mid-major player in the country each week. He set career highs in both LIU Brooklyn wins last week. First, he had 30 at Sacred Heart in an ESPNU game, then 32 at Bryant 2 days later. Most teams play zone against LIU, but with Hernandez's strength and agility, he's able to split the zone at will, attack the hoop, and with an improved three-point shot, defenders can't lay off him either. He's shooting at a 38% clip from downtown. LIU now on a 3-game win streak, heading into a crucial homestand this weekend against St. Francis U and Robert Morris, 2 of the teams that they are tied with for 3rd place in the NEC standings, along with St. Francis Brooklyn.
Okay, Ron, next up, give me the game of the week.
My game of the week took place in Emmitsburg on Saturday, Mount St. Mary's against St. Francis University. I wouldn't have guessed this would be a defensive struggle, especially after the 2 teams played to an 81-80 overtime final last month in Loretto, but that's what it was, a defensive battle. They had a packed house at Knott Arena, but it was St. Francis that opened the game with an 11-0 spurt to start. But behind Junior Robinson, the Mount battled back, and they led by 2 at the break. The teams went back and forth in the second half, and there were a number of lead changes, but there it was, the game tied at 55-55 with under a minute to play after Greg Alexander and Jamal King traded baskets. As the Mount hit their free throws, the Red Flash had a chance to go ahead, but this Randall Gaskins Jr. three-pointer was off the mark. Then in the final seconds, Jamal King misfired on this three-point attempt to tie it up, and the Mount came away with the win, proving to 6-0 in NEC play at Knott Arena and taking over sole possession of second place in the conference.
Okay, Mount St. Mary's alone in 2nd place now. Ron, let's shift gears. Give me the plays of the week.
First up, my dunk of the week. Watch Chris Wray get up the Mount senior with the putback slam against St. Francis U on Saturday down in Emmitsburg. My play of the week, he's been a regular on this, JoJo Cooper, another baseball pass, this one to Elijah Davis, who takes it the rest of the way and gets an and one in transition for Wagner in their win over Central Connecticut on Thursday.
Okay, Ron, I heard some players hit some milestones last week. What do you got for me?
Let's start with Mount St. Mary's senior guard, Junior Robinson. He moved into 10th place on the Mount's all-time scoring list. He has 1,709 career points, and he's also now 26th on the NEC career list, and he's going to move up quickly. Won't be long before Junior Robinson hits the top 20 all-time in the conference. And last week in a game that I attended, I saw St. Francis U sophomore guard Keith Braxton become the first St. Francis University player to secure a triple-double in their history, and he became just the 9th NEC player to do it in the last 20 years. Quite an accomplishment. 12 points, 16 rebounds, 10 assists, and he did it on national TV for CBS Sports Network. Congratulations, Keith Braxton, on joining an impressive group of NEC players.
Now we've reached the halfway point of the show. Ron, let's take the Twitter timeout.
This week's Twitter timeout, we spotlight Ryan Peters at Pioneer_Pride, one of the great NEC writers. And he spent his time, as he says, gushing about Joelle Hernandez, the player of the week. His tweet: "For years, Jack Perry used to gush about Joelle Hernandez's ceiling as a player, and what we've seen this year and tonight is exactly what Perry was talking about. Hernandez's versatility, athleticism, and strength is a major mismatch for any NEC opponent." I couldn't have said it better, and coming off Joelle Hernandez's big week, Ryan Peters was right on the money with our Twitter timeout.
Ron, you were also right on the money as you featured Joelle Hernandez in the Star Watch last week. Now let's take a look at who your under-the-radar player is.
This week, Kyle, I'm going with Kaleb Bishop from Fairleigh Dickinson, a 6'8" sophomore from Paterson, New Jersey. He played at St. Anthony's High School for Bobby Hurley. Now, Kyle, his days of being under the radar may be close to ending. His next step may be on the Star Watch, the way he's been playing lately. At 6'8", he can put the ball on the floor, he plays in the post, and he runs like a gazelle. In transition, he might be the league's best dunker. Bishop has now reached double digits in 6 straight games, averaging almost 15 points and over 8 rebounds in that stretch. Last week, over 16 points, over 8 rebounds, and he shot 67% from the field. With what Kaleb Bishop can do at that size, he's an impressive player and only getting better day by day for Greg Herenda and FDU.
All right, Ron, let's move on to the next segment. Who's on your Star Watch this week?
For the Star Watch, I'm going back again to Chris Wray, Mount St. Mary's, a 6'8" senior. And I'm not sure, Kyle, people realize just how good Chris Wray has been for the Mount. If I had to compare him to an NBA player, I think Draymond Green is the closest comparison. While Ray may not be a three-point shooter like Draymond, he checks every other box. He alters shots as a rim protector. He gets into the passing lanes and forces turnovers. An outstanding rebounder. He flies up and down the court in transition and finishes above the rim. But what's impressed me most about his game this year is his passing and ball handling, leading the break and passing out of the post. And just look at his numbers last week. 11 points a game, 10 rebounds a game, 4 assists per game, 3 blocks, 2 steals, and he shot 78.6% from the field. Ray is a big reason why the Mount's defensive numbers are on the rise and why the Mountaineers are all alone in second place as they attempt to defend their NEC crown.
All right, fans, you heard it from Ron. Keep an eye out for Kaleb Bishop and Chris Wray this week. Ron, also, we need your game to watch.
This was a tough pick this week, lots of good ones, but I'm going to pick Robert Morris at St. Francis Brooklyn in a rematch of the best game of the year thus far in the conference. This one took place in Pittsburgh in early January, and if you remember, it looked like it was over, but the Terriers' Glenn Sanabria sent it to OT on this buzzer beater. Robert Morris went on to win following a frantic finish where the two teams traded 6 consecutive buckets without a whistle or timeout over the last 90 seconds, culminating with Matty McConnell's game-winning three-point play with 10 seconds to go. This should be a good one when they rematch at the Pope Center this weekend. Kyle, I also wanted to mention a big week of NEC TV with 3 nationally televised games on the docket. First up Thursday, we have league leader Wagner. They host Bryant. Special 5 o'clock tip-off on CBS Sports Network. We move on to Saturday, a Constitution State battle. Central Connecticut, they entertain Sacred Heart, 4 p.m. on ESPN3. And then on Sunday, back on CBS Sports Network in Hackensack, Fairleigh Dickinson plays host to Wagner, 2 o'clock. Big week of NEC TV.
Okay, fans, you heard it. Lots of good basketball this weekend, and you can also catch all of the other games live and in HD on NECFrontRow.com. That's it for this week's edition of NEC on the Run, talking men's basketball with the NEC's Ron Ratner. For NEC Front Row, I'm Kyle Turner, and we'll be back next week.